security matters in Kaduna State, where a reception is being held for the Christian worshippers that were kidnapped from 3 churches in Kurmin Wali Community, a Kaduna local government area. Now, joining us for more on this conversation, we are joined by Gloria Ballason. Gloria is a lawyer and community rights advocate joining us from Kaduna. Gloria, thank you so much once again for joining us and your time. Gloria, my first question to you would be, what can we, of course, we can't say for a fact now if this was a rescue or if it was indeed a release, except that the victims have regained their freedom. But from a legal and a humanitarian perspective on your end, what kind of trauma have these victims endured during the captivity and, of course, after their release?
For many of the victims who escape or who have to pay ransom and get to freedom, the horrific incidents that they go through, and even the nadir of suffering, is something that cannot be fully told, not even talk about the psychosocial and the psychological effects that it has on them. Think about the kilometers they have to cover, the hunger, the pain, having to watch women being raped, watch people being killed, watch ransom being exchanged. It is a system that has gone on over and over again. And with thousands of Nigerians who have been victims, this seems to be another play of something that's happened before. Unfortunately, with the way things are going, it will happen again.
Unfortunate. But Gloria, from your findings as someone who has worked and has a background, with dealing with people from affected communities, how generally are families coping? How do they cope and how are they coping emotionally and financially after weeks of uncertainty and disruption?
Well, it's not a question of coping. It's about they find themselves in an unacceptable situation that they have to accept. Clearly, ransom has been paid in this instance. Huge ransom has been paid. And as we look towards the political season, it seems that this is also going to be a trend. We saw it happen in the last elections. But for those who have been rescued, just the sheer number of terrorists that they find in camps, particularly in Rijana and in Kachia, we're talking about thousands of terrorists. And when these ransoms are being received, you find that there are security agents, bad eggs in the security agents, and people who deal in arms going to trade on the floor of the terrorist camps to just exchange money for arms over and over again. And so this is something that has happened over and over and over again. And it's not just an issue of receiving these people back to the community, but what is the government doing to ensure that terrorism comes to an end? Because paying ransom is just feeding the terrorists with money again, so that they can gain more arms and ammunition to attack communities over and over again. There are people who have been kidnapped more than once, okay? But particularly in Kajuru local government, that is a local government that has over and over again, suffered these attacks.
Right.
So if the government is really interested in solving this, it is for the government to put its foot on the ground and say that this is how far the terrorists will go and no more. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear that the government has that willpower.
Gloria, I do agree with you that this is a governmental problem that needs to be amended from a governmental level. But I think it's also quite important to not just point fingers, but also try and educate such that we come to a point of proper sustenance and reality. My question now for you is that in terms of the rights of the victims, what rights do victims have in terms of compensation, rehabilitation, of course, and long-term protection?
It's about time that the people filed against the Nigerian government. If we're having this matter as a recurring decimal, then the government needs to be held accountable for the violation of the right to life, the violation of the right to dignity of the human person, the violation of the right to movement, the violation to the right to livelihood that is guaranteed under the African Charter of Human and People's Rights, and so many other related rights. Because it seems that except we're able to hold the government accountable for just playing this out as politics again, they would not see the gravity of the issue. Nobody goes into the terrorist camp and returns the same way that they went. Something about them dies. Just the fact that you see heinous crimes being perpetrated, or watching the conspiracy around the political economy that drives kidnapping and terrorism in Nigeria, it kills something on the inside of you, that we can have a country as beautiful as ours. And this dark trade is allowed to not just continue, but to be sustained by the continuous recycling of payment, of ransom, by politicians thinking that this is another dark art to politics, by just ensuring that life becomes unbearable for people so people can win politically on the blood of people and the inconveniences of communities.
Gloria, I wish we had more time, but unfortunately that's the only time we have. Thank you so much for your insight on this matter.